Charlie loved this country, and he loved partnering with organizations that truly stand for what makes America great. One of our most trusted partners, AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is doing something special in Charlie's honor. AMAC is offering free memberships to all ages. No credit card, no strings attached, just a chance to stand for faith, family, and freedom. Join this movement. Go to amac.us/Charlie today. That is amac.us/Charlie today. First, we got to do a little addressing of a video that went viral this weekend, and it's a video of Charlie's chief of staff. We made the decision that we wanted to address this head on because, candidly, there's so much intrigue, and I'm gonna do a generous thing. The intrigue is because people care about Charlie. Okay, so that part I understand.
You're more generous than I'd be.
Yes, and that's fine. And I am going to give you the floor here now, Blake, because you were there and you actually interacted with Mikey. You were with Mikey. You left the scene and then connected with Mikey. So explain what the video is.
All right, I'm not going to
set the scene.
I'm not going to wallow in it at length, but it's gone viral and people have asked us to address it, and we're going to do so briefly. The video, without going way into it, is by, I can't even remember the guy's name. Someone made a video that is attacking Mikey, Charlie's friend, Charlie's chief of staff, a guy all of us know, a guy who we've seen on the show here the last few weeks. They are attacking him, claiming, based on a few seconds of clips, that he allegedly has like a nonchalant or calm reaction to Charlie's murder. And I'm just going to be blunt about this. This is a extremely disgusting attack. And I can speak to that because I was there when it happened, and I was next to Mikey when it happened. And what I can say is, I can't say every single thing that happened, but I want to talk about this specific narrow thing, that the shooting occurs. I am next to Mikey. Both of us hear a loud crack. We both turn. We both see Charlie, who has been shot. Both of us, I think at about the same time, realize that means there is a shooter who is on the scene. And, you just hear the crack, so you don't know, did it come from far away? Did it come from close? Is there a mass shooter unfolding right now? So I and him both had the reaction of, let's get out of here before we are both shot. That is not us abandoning Charlie. Charlie had a security team. They all leapt immediately into action, and they got Charlie out of there, which was what their job was to do. My job was not to get in the way and screw this up because, I had to be a hero. That was not my job. I remember even running past, both of us going past the SUV that we came in on, and me thinking, should I get in that car? And then thinking, no, that's a really stupid thing to do. And then I kept going. So I was not with Mikey, or I don't remember being with him. I think I was ahead of him as we left. And then we get out, and I run for, can't have been more than 15 or 20 seconds. And then I realized there hasn't been another shot, so the shooter has likely been detained or stopped or something, not in immediate danger. I pause, I look around me, and I see Mikey. And I see Mikey there. And I will never forget what I saw, because I've seen Mikey almost every day for the past 2 years. I know his personality very well. He's a very bubbly guy. He's a very happy guy almost all of the time. And I'll never forget what I saw, because it was clear in the moment that he was profoundly freaked out. What I'll always remember is the way his lip was quivering, which I'd never seen before. And you very rarely see from someone that he was freaking out. And then I think he literally said to me, I might be imagining this, but I think what he literally said was, he was looking around, and then he says, I need to call Erica. And then he takes his phone and he begins calling Erica. And I don't want to disclose how that call unfolded, but he did that. Your mind extends all of this, but that is happening within a minute of all of this occurring. I remember he calls Erica. Around the same time, I pull out my phone and I call my mom just to say, Mom, there's been a shooting. You're going to see it on the news. I'm okay. Pray for me. I've got to go. And I remember that call. And around the time I put that phone away, and then he immediately calls his dad. He calls Rob McCoy. And he says, Dad, someone shot Charlie. You need to call all of your pastor friends. Charlie was hit. We need everyone to pray right now. And that's what he told him. And I guess it's very disgusting for me as someone who witnessed this, who saw Mikey hugely distressed and then step up in the moment, because after that call was over, I saw Mikey like get total mastery of himself, that he realized he had to step up in this situation. And from that point, he was like a general directing a battle where he was, grabbing people and saying, okay, we need to get to the hospital and we need to do these things. And you guys need to wait here. I need to get in here to get information so that I can get it to Erica. And when we learned he was dead, he came out and he told us, and then he says, now none of you can say anything that you've heard, because Erica is not going to hear about this from anyone except me.
Can I ask a question? I've just been thrown into this 10 minutes ago, but there's a suggestion online that Mikey, Charlie's chief of staff, one of the most sincere people you'd ever meet, brilliant, Christian, kind, everyone he ever met in his entire life, couldn't hurt a fly, was part of a conspiracy to murder Charlie. That's what's going on.
Yeah. It's vile. It's utterly vile.
Who would do this? What type of individual? Just to create content, do we think, or is there what's the ulterior?
I don't know. I think a lot of this mindset just sort of fuels itself. It's sort of addictive in the same way a lot of social media stuff is addictive, or in the way honestly something like pornography is addictive or something. Like they almost get a high off of like the idea of like that they're doing something that's daring or out there.
Yeah, and I want to make one other point though, and this is actually to your point. You saw Mikey do heroic things that day. I saw Mikey do heroic things. I was not on site, but I immediately flew to Utah. We got a plane. I mean, it's not something that I'm used to, but it was like my wife went with me. We went straight over. I knew I needed to be with Erica and the team immediately just because, I just knew. But that moment when I got the news, I was so shell-shocked. I was not even there, but I was immediately traumatized. My brain fries like an egg. I can't see straight. I can't think straight. All I knew is that, like, what's happening? My wife came in. She, like, hugged me. We started crying together. And I can't even remember those moments very clearly. I wasn't even there. Mikey was two steps
talked
away.
About that.
And I asked him, I was like, do you even remember the moments after? He's like, I can't even really remember. I know I called Erica. I know I called my wife. I know I called my dad. I can't even really remember the steps I took. But here's the last thing I want to make a point of. And because Charlie had given me similar instructions along the years. Said, if anything ever happens to me, you call Erica.
Yeah, that's the other
thing. And he drilled that into Mikey's brain so that when this moment of trauma happened, that he turned around and he knew he had to do it. And by the way, last thing, because this is part of the video allegations here, is that they think they're alleging that he was on the phone immediately. He was not. He was taking social videos, which he would send to our group chat, which we would then put on Charlie's social while the event was happening, so you could see like the crowd come in or his interactions. And we were only 2 questions into this event, so he was still getting it out to all the chats he needed to do, which he did at every event. He turns around, and it was so blaringly loud, I'm told. You would know this better than I, but this is what I'm told. It was so blaringly loud, and he was so shell-shocked. He put his fingers in his ear, but his phone was still in his hand. He walks away, and
not even walk. I want to, because people are talking about that. The way it was is we had a cordoned off area with grates, so you had controlled access. All the people, when this happens, they all get the idea we should leave before we are shot, and so there's a little narrow gap that I think people. It's not really walking; it's that everyone has to slow up to get through this little narrow choke point to get out of the area. And
anyways, well, the point is he walks briskly. I don't even care if he's walking, running, whatever, because again, the most traumatic thing you could imagine had just happened to him. My brain fried. I cannot imagine what was going through your guys' head being on the scene and seeing it and knowing, again, the security guys are jumping in. He turns and like I'm telling you, Mikey that day turned into a general on a field, marshaling the troops going, but like, for a second there, obviously he didn't know what to do, and then he clicked into gear eventually. It was amazing.
Mikey was a heroic figure on that day, and I really want anyone who finds like these narratives attacking him to be remotely credible to really, really stop and think about what you are doing, because what you are doing is bad, and it is gross, and it is a choice, and it's a choice you shouldn't make.